Hello everyone, welcome back to TLT, a channel where we talk about tech, life and tips. Today I'm gonna show you how to repair an iPhone 15 step by step. Whether you are dealing with cracks, unresponsive screen, a broken digitizer, this video is gonna be for you. Let's dive in. Right, so here are the tools that you require. You need a spudger, and you also need a metal prior. Mainly the iFlex would be the best one because it's slightly very thin. You're gonna need 3 sets of screwdrivers, a tri-point screwdriver, a pentalobe screwdriver, and a Phillips screwdriver. In addition, you're gonna need a pair of tweezers. So the very first thing you want to do, you want to first of all switch off the phone, and this is something that you should do with any repair. Remove the 2 pentalobe screws. There is another equipment that I've not included in here. It's just a heating pad. So you also need to just heat the screen at 80 degrees so it softens the adhesive around the edges. If you're just doing this at home, just use your hair dryer. That should do, just around the edges there. So you gotta pry out the screen. In this case, it's not really, because we are changing the screen, so that's okay. You don't have to really worry about being careful in terms of how you do it. You just have to make sure that at least you don't pry too much inside, especially on the left side of the screen, because that's where it opens like a book. It opens to the left. So you gotta pry it out. You gotta pry it out. Right, and use your spudger around the edges. It's a game of patience, so you gotta make sure you got plenty of patience when dealing with electronics. And when it comes to the top of the phone, remember it's got like little hooks, so you gotta wiggle it left to right or side to side, and then you gotta just open it like a book. There's a little bit of background music from here, so hopefully you don't mind that, and hopefully my speech will be nice and clear. Right, so once you have done that, you open the phone. And remember, when working on an iPhone 15, you are unable to turn off the battery from that side, unlike the previous generations. So if you were to disconnect the battery, you will need to remove the back. So what I suggest you do is just switch off the phone before you remove those tabs. Make sure it's switched off. And in the event that perhaps the screen was unresponsive and you couldn't really switch it off through the screen because either you cannot see the screen, there is an LCD damage, then in that case you may consider to actually heat it up at the back and open the back and disconnect the battery from the back, and then disconnect the screen so that you avoid a short, creating a short on the screen. All right. So now we've removed the screen. You have to remove those screws that are around the screen. Mainly that's mainly a flexi cable there that's got a light sensor. So you gotta just wiggle that. Use a little bit of isopropyl just to soften it up, or you could just use a combination of heat as well. Just heat the screen a little bit and just pry it. And as you can see, I'm prying using, these are playing cards. I normally prefer to use the golden playing cards because they are like plastic and it's a very nice texture. And guess what, the other thing is they are also cheaper anyways, and they do such a very perfect job because they are thin and they can pry through difficult areas, and they are strong at the same time. Alright, and just make sure you don't end up rupturing this flexi cable. So you gotta be very careful when you remove the flexi on the screen. Just making sure that you pay attention and you're as careful as possible. And another thing, because remember we are using aftermarket screens, so before you even install it, just as a gold nugget, just also compare what you have received with what you are removing from the phone, so that you make sure that it's the exact part for the job that you're about to do. So as you can see, I used a little bit of heat there to take that one out. And then all you just do is to transfer that to the aftermarket screen. Make sure it looks exactly the way that you took it out. If you are not quite sure, just take a picture of the old one. That way you make sure everything looks exactly the same. So that is done. You gotta then make sure that you put the flexi cable there. It's just more like a Lego, so you gotta just make sure it clicks. It's better to actually use your fingers because you can actually tell with the feeling that it's actually sitting nicely and secure. This is one part that your senses they come to play. So you gotta really feel it with the tips of your fingers that it's in, just as you would do when you play Lego. When you played Lego as a child, or if you still do as an adult. Right, once everything is in place, then you're gonna remove those, in fact we're gonna install the metal shields. There are two metal shields there on the top and at the bottom. And also remember, guys, that you are doing this at your own risk. If you are not confident or if you are not savvy enough, then I suggest you just leave this repair to the professional. And also just remember also that the repair could potentially violate your manufacturer's warranty. But again, on the other hand, you need to also understand what manufacturer's warranty actually constitute. So basically, just in a nutshell, I'll just say in most cases, manufacturer's warranty is anything that has to do with manufacturer's defects. So anything that is of physical nature generally is not covered under warranty. So that's another thing to know. So if you have already cracked your screen, it was never gonna get covered anyways. But again, I just put a disclaimer. You gotta just check with the Apple Store And just if you had Apple Care on your phone, then maybe do not attempt any repair on your own. Right, so the screen is installed and we need to just switch it on to just make sure that it's switching on and everything is working okay before you finally put it all together. Right, so I'm quite happy there, everything seemed to be alright. So then you've got to then fit it nicely. You want to start from the top and work your way downward, just pushing on the sides. Once that is done, don't forget to put the pentalobe screws back on. So this is how it's done. Okay, so everything looks pretty good. Check again if you've got a password. Go through the phone, make sure everything works. And there you go. Job done. The phone looks good. So thank you for watching, guys.